Good evening. Please be seated. I ask that you take a moment to please silence all cell phones and to please refrain from anything that would be disruptive and that may take away from the dignity of this momentous occasion. Welcome everyone to the graduation for the class of 2021, live and in person. I also acknowledge all of those who may be watching the ceremony via live stream. You're all very welcome this evening. Thank you for joining us. My name is Bill Miles, and I'm very, very proud to be the principal of Lower Moreland High School. We all gather this evening to celebrate the accomplishments of the class of 2021. Graduates, your class has been recognized for academic achievement countywide, statewide, and nationally. From FBLA to tennis to swimming to jazz band, Lower Moreland extracurricular activities and athletics have earned much success. In many ways, the leaders of your class of 2021 have helped to make that happen. Also, whether through Notes of Hope or the National Honor Society, you have found ways to give back to the community. And guided by your tenacity and innovation, you also found a way for Solstice to happen this year. Well done. Your pathway to graduation this evening has not been easy. In recent remarks that I've made to the National Honor Society and at Senior Awards, I spoke about a few things that may bear repeating. Your class has acquired skills that perhaps no other graduating class has attained. The challenges of learning in dual platforms were not simple tasks, but you rose up to the challenges and you reached success. In some cases, bedrooms, kitchen tables, and garages became learning locations. Remembering to unmute yourself was not a requisite skill prior to March of 2020. In September of 2019, I suspect that no one in the auditorium this evening predicted that proficiency in things like Google Meets, breakout rooms, Jamboard, and Kahoot would be required skill sets. But your character and your work ethic will serve you well moving forward. Your teachers describe you as an incredible group of people, change agents who are humorous, resilient, intelligent, creative, strong. Further, you are described as adaptable, determined, and courageous, as well as individuals who have demonstrated perseverance and courage and have had a positive impact on others. Despite a global pandemic, you have left your mark on Lower Moreland High School, and that you as a class have much more to contribute to this community, society, and the world. And I wish you nothing less than absolute happiness and success. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce the president of the class of 2021, Yuval Levy.
Good evening, and welcome all faculty, alumni, friends, family, and most importantly, the seniors, to this year's graduation ceremony of the Lower Moreland High School's class of 2021. My name is Yuval Levy. I'm the senior class president, and I'm honored to speak before you all today. For some of you, this is one of the happiest and most exciting days of your life. But for others, including me, it's also one of the scariest. You know the whole trick of picturing the crowd naked? Yeah, that's a lot more uncomfortable than I expected. As our time at Lower Moreland comes to an end, I would like to reflect on our 13 years here. What we were, who we are, and who we can become. It feels like just yesterday I was running to recess to hopefully get a spot on one of the swings or to play tag on the blacktop with my friends at Pine Road. It was in Miss Lucinia's gym class where we played germ tag, one of the best games ever, and saw who would be playing on the competitive side in high school. We went from walking hips and lips on the green to now following arrows to the halls and stairwells in high school. You'd think we would have figured out how to walk through a hallway by now. Then came middle school, where we had a little bit more independence and grades became more important. I'll always remember Miss Kelly's class, where we looked up at the clouds to see if it was going to rain that day. I still have the Mesopotamia song engraved in my mind from Mr. Harrell's social studies class. As we moved to high school, we started as little freshmen, where everything seemed so intimidating. From the roaring 20s in American Studies to learning about Mr. Conrad's two sons, Lon and L'Hôpital's. We made memories that will stick with us forever. Since Lower Moreland is a small school, you come to know everyone. We've seen each other flourish and been there for each other through both the good and the bad. It is because of this small community that I know each and every one of you is capable of greatness. We are academically vigorous, mentally resilient, and physically powerful. I've seen the extraordinary musical talents our students possess on the stages of Java Jam and Solstice, the unmatched teamwork in sports, and the articulate and logical thinking displayed in so many clubs. You can always count on Brenna to find the perfect pitch, Haley to act any role in drama, and Emmett to beat you in chess. Noah, Greg, and Jaden's relay won the state championship this year. Paige reached 100 goals in lacrosse. And Sam finished first at the Freedom Division League Tennis Tournament. From the artists to the mathletes, debaters, and everyone in between, we are a strong and remarkable group of people with outstanding talent and curiosity to expand our interests. Some might say we are just high school students, but we are high school students capable of moving mountains if our hearts so desire. Each of us is different, and with that, we offer something new to the world. We even survived high school in a worldwide pandemic. The beginning of the school year was a grim start with online classes, but we quickly adapted to the changing atmosphere. A special congratulations to all of you who had the dauntless courage to unmute yourselves during class, because that sure unlocked a new insecurity I never thought I would have. Despite these adjustments, we are still here today at a beautiful graduation ceremony, and I am beyond proud to call you all my classmates. As we move past our careers as students and part ways, we embark on a life sure to be filled with failure and triumph. My one aspiration for everyone is that you remember with the past with satisfaction, not regret, and that wherever you are, it's because of your own hard work and dedication. We create the storyline of our lives by living it, so be creative. Find the passion that turns motivation into dedication. We are not expected, though, to have the knowledge of a lifetime. It's okay to say, I don't know. A highly credible and wise individual, Yoda, once said, try again, fail better. Now is your time to grow, to mess up, and most importantly, to learn. Will you get swept along with the dust, or will you leave a print, a handcrafted mark encompassing all your talents, intelligence, and perseverance to make the next day better than your last? With this in mind, I have faith that you all will face the future with courage, and that everyone here is destined for greatness. We are the class of 2021. Congratulations.
Opening remarks will now be given by Mr. Stephen Geiger, a member of the Lower Moreland Township Board of School Directors. Please welcome Mr. Geiger.
Thank you. Good evening, Lower Moreland faculty and administration, families of the graduates, and to the class of 2021. Thank you for the honor of addressing you this evening. Graduates, congratulations on all your accomplishments and in reaching this milestone moment. Originally, I wanted to share an inspirational message with you, but after sitting down with Mr. Miles and Mr. Rear to learn more about this class, I decided I wanted to share with you how your teachers and coaches see you and what words they use to characterize this class. You've endured the world's first major pandemic in over 100 years. And it is because of this that I believe the relationships that you've developed with your teachers are different. This is what they said about you. You were dealt many challenging situations, and while you wanted normalcy, you were remarkably understanding of the circumstances. You were flexible with anything asked of you. Despite these challenges, you made this school year memorable and fun. The adjective brought up most often was resilient. You didn't complain when safety protocols and rules changed on a weekly basis. You just did it, and you never felt cheated. You excelled in coming up with creative ideas to keep doing the things you love, such as your extracurriculars. A great example of this was when band and choir practices were shut down last March. Your determination led you to find creative ways to continue practicing, even though you could not be together in person. After many months of hard work, the jazz band placed first at the National Jazz Festival and the World's Strides Invitational Virtual Festival this year. And this perseverance did not stop with the arts. Mr. Highland, our athletic director, did an outstanding job keeping our student athletes and coaches safe and our gyms and fields open. In our first year back in the Suburban 1 League since 1986, we won 4 league championships in girls tennis, boys cross country, and boys swimming and diving. Congratulations to everyone involved in all of our extracurricular activities. One thing that really impressed me was your teachers also described you as global thinkers. You understand the world is interconnected, and you show an interest sharing ideas with people and organizations from around the world. This curiosity, coupled with your ingenuity, will drive your success into the future. Mr. Rear talked about the conversations he had with other high school principals and the issues they were facing. That was not the case here. He was so proud to share with me that this Lower Moreland senior class rose to the occasion with a maturity beyond their years. I know you would agree with me when I say that our teachers rose to the occasion as well. They worked tirelessly all year long. The weeks were like months in the amount of time they dedicated to their students, and once again, they showed our community we have some of the finest educators in the country right here at Lower Moreland. As a school board member, I want to publicly say thank you to our teachers. I'd also like to congratulate Dr. Hausman on her retirement from the district after 39 years. Dr. Hausman was my physics teacher in her second year, so I think you know how old I am. I remember what a great teacher she was, and I know she only got better as the years went on. So you beat me to the punch, but now I'd like to say, would you please join me in giving our teachers and Dr. Hausman a well-deserved round of applause. So, graduates, my message to you is simple. Don't change. Stay determined, resilient, creative, thoughtful, and curious. I appreciate the opportunity to address you this evening, and I wish you happiness and success in this great journey called life. Thank you.
At this time, I would ask the senior choir to please step forward. And as the choir is finalizing their setup, I would ask the audience to please rise and join us in the singing of America the Beautiful. Please be seated. Thank you, Ms. Diener and the members of the senior choir. We will be hearing again from the senior choir a little bit later in the program. At this time, I would like to introduce some of the dignitaries that are with us this evening and to thank them for the role that they have played in the development of the class of 2021. Seated on the stage this evening are Dr. Scott Davidheiser, our Superintendent of Schools, and Mr. Stephen Geiger, School Board Member. Also here with us to celebrate the class of 2021 in some of the first or second rows, we have Mrs. Cheryl Galdo, and we have Mrs. Julie O'Malley, Mr. Frank Giordano, Mrs. Julian Drennan, Ms. Jennifer Dilks, and Mr. Scott Cole. Dr. Jason Hilt is here in the role of helping the live stream and our sound work out this evening, and Mr. Boudreau from Murray Avenue is also in the audience. We are very pleased that they are here with us. We also have a number of faculty members up front with us this evening. I would like to acknowledge their participation as well and commend them to their commitment for all of our students. On behalf of the class of 2021, I thank you for playing such a critical and special role in the development of these wonderful young men and women who we honor this evening. And at this time, it's my pleasure to introduce the salutatorian of the class of 2021, Mahir Ram.
I'd like to start by apologizing to all my early teachers, especially Ms. Metzger and Mrs. Stroop, for having to deal with my disruptions during my regular sugar highs in 6th grade. I know it was quite difficult, but hey, I must have gotten at least marginally better to be speaking to you all this evening. This last year has been quite hectic for all of us. I'm sure that we don't want to be labeled as just the class that lived through the pandemic, but I feel like we still haven't understood or appreciated what that truly means. While some opportunities like graduation and proms look different this year, we all are surviving a global pandemic and will be able to hold that above future generations in some back-in-my-day derision. After only seeing many of us over Google Meet, I'm sure our teachers are so happy to finally see that some of their students aren't just colored icons. On top of that, we're living through an important time period for civil rights. The Black Lives Matter movement has picked up traction nationwide, and here in our own school district, we're beginning to have courageous and meaningful conversations about problems that affect minority communities. Last year, the school board opened avenues to ask questions and raise concerns online. Measures like these are important as they keep communication between the district and community members very open. The High School Diversity Committee, formed this year as well, has given students a greater voice and a platform to raise social concerns. We should all recognize that it's up to all of us to ensure that our commitment to progress remains wholehearted and that our efforts are not diluted, especially by mistakes as simple as forgetting to share links to meetings. This graduation itself is a testament to what this district can produce when our efforts are wholehearted. It would have been much easier to hold graduation the same way as last year, but instead, the district put in a great effort to allow us to be here all together, and I sincerely do appreciate it. The move to in-person instruction was also quite successful, and I'm sure the logistics of those models were not easy. It would have been simpler to keep the hybrid and virtual models, especially since we're all given Chromebooks, but instead the district put the efforts in and found solutions. Thank you to the teachers and staff for continuing their dedication to the students throughout this year. I especially would like to thank Mrs. Siciliano. I am so fortunate that she believed in me because she always pushed me to do better, and it's led me to great opportunities such as working for the foundation. She works so hard for every one of her students, and I know that she has risked her credibility by finding real-world opportunities for many of her students. I know my fellow classmates graduating tonight have many achievements to be proud of at Lower Moreland, so I feel confident that we'll all be successful in the future. To all the students here tonight, I just want to say, do not settle for less. If you believe change is needed, then speak up and advocate for change. It will seem easier to stay silent and avoid the controversy, but you will help yourself and everyone who comes after you by fighting for improvement. Sometimes those immature, disruptive voices can modulate to become voices of strength. Thank you everyone for listening, and congratulations, class of 2021.
I would now like to introduce the valedictorian of the class of 2021, Manav Singh.
Thank you, Mom, Dad, and Varun. Thank you, members of the school board and parents, for your never-ending support. To my friends, you're the best. Teachers, thank you for shaping us and encouraging us. And to all the staff, thank you for the behind-the-scenes magic that you do that we never think about, but that makes our school work. Without you, I wouldn't be where I am today. That is more uncomfortable than I've ever been in my entire life. I asked last year's valedictorian for some advice, and he told me what an honor it is that for 5 minutes I would have everyone's attention. My teachers, my friends, everyone I've ever had a crush on. But that didn't make me any less nervous. Addressing all the most important people in my life at once is terrifying. But graduating isn't just about tonight. It isn't even about this year. It's about the past 13 years. We spend a lot of time thinking about what happens to us, problems that arise, things that we have to deal with. But we don't often think about what doesn't happen. This past year, we've all learned a little bit about what public health experts do behind the scenes to keep us safe. And even when we forget them, they will keep monitoring the globe and protecting us, unrecognized. We don't think about the pandemics that never happened. When taking life-saving vaccines, we're not thinking about the year of trials and the decades of incremental research that made them possible. We don't read stories about the crimes that never happened. When we walk into school in the morning, we get to not think about how the recycling and trash bins are empty and the floors are clean thanks to Lance and Hector and the custodial staff. Just over a week from today, construction will begin on the new high school building, a project that started years ago and has been covered extensively in the Lions Roar Lower Morelands Award-winning student newspaper. Over the summer, the road leading into the high school will be moved over to make space for the new building. And at the end of summer, on the surface, the only visible change will be that the road is moved. But under the surface, they'll install drainage pipes so the road doesn't flood. They'll need to redo utilities. They've done traffic and environmental studies to ensure the road is safe. We won't be thinking about any of that when we're driving by. And it's not just roads that hide things beneath the surface. People do too. Think about how we felt in 9th grade. Probably best summed up in the words of Olaf the Snowman, who said, "I can't wait until I'm older and thus all-knowing." That captures how we felt 4 years ago. The seniors seemed so cool. They were tall, they were confident, they were smart, they could drive. It seemed like they had it all figured out, and we would too when we were seniors. And now we are. We're about to graduate, and we can drive, and sometimes we can park, as long as it's across 3 or more spaces on the day of the senior breakfast. But do we have it all figured out? I definitely don't. I have no idea what I'm doing, in this speech or in life. I don't know what I'm talking about. I have no idea what to major in, and I'm still afraid to ask questions in class. For all of high school, I've been incredibly jealous of so many people, and I still am. I'm jealous of people with the willpower to practice a sport for more than 10 hours a week, every week. Of my classmates who put their all into music groups. Of people who can go with the flow and don't need a plan for everything. Of those of you who can go up to anyone and hold a conversation. In high school, we think everyone around us knows what they're doing. Well, we don't. But none of us know what we're doing. We're all using filters. For the past 15 months, we've worn masks. But we've always been wearing social masks, hiding our doubts and concerns and showing only parts of ourselves on social media and to others. And as we begin to take off our physical masks, we should try also to shed our social ones, and remember that the most important work often takes place behind the scenes, out of view. And as we walk across this stage, we should be proud of the invisible work we did, the work that no one else knows about, that wasn't done for credit or commendation, but made our community, and thus the world, just a slightly better place to live in. Congratulations, class of 2021.
Thank you, Mahir and Manav, thank you very much. The Lower Moreland class of 2021 is poised to accomplish great things. This class will be attending over 60 different universities, colleges, community colleges, or technical schools. Their travels will take them across the state, across the country, and in some cases across the world. Some of our graduates will immediately join the workforce in a number of areas. Others will pursue fields in biological sciences, health sciences, computer science, engineering, business, or nursing. The class of 2021 has earned scholarships, grants, and other award monies in excess of $5.3 million. Congratulations. There are several groups of students who have received special recognition, and I would like to acknowledge this evening. The first group consists of those individuals who received an award on our Senior Awards Night. If you were honored on Senior Awards Night, please rise, stand up, and face the audience. These students accumulated awards in the amounts of $64,750. Congratulations. The next group consists of those individuals who distinguished themselves in the National Merit Scholar Competition. When your name is called, please rise and face the audience. And I would ask the audience to please hold your applause until the list of names have been introduced. National Merit Commended Scholars, Jacob M. Grinchpan, Young J. Kim, Mihir Ram, and Lena F. Sadie. Congratulations. Thank you, and please be seated. National Merit Scholar Finalists, Brendan S. Achildi, Manav Singh, Cassidy M. Sudell. Congratulations. Cassidy also was the recipient of a National Merit Scholarship from the University of Maryland. So Cassidy, congratulations on that as well. The next group of students have been recognized by the Eastern Center for Arts and Technology. And I guess it was about 2 weeks ago now, I had the pleasure of going to Upper Moreland Stadium where the ECAT program was holding their senior awards. And it was wonderful to see not just what our students have achieved, but it's really amazing what other districts, their students have achieved as well. So our partnership with the ECAT program has been very successful, and I'm sure these award winners will use their expertise and skills to serve them well moving forward. Please again stand and be recognized and face the audience. Sarah Brodsky, Alexander Fleschel, William Clanderman, Joseph Leska, Cameron Pressman, Courtney Quinn. Congratulations. And thank you, and please be seated. The final group of students consists of those who may have received external awards and scholarships that have not been previously recognized. If you have received an external award in the community, please rise and face the audience to be acknowledged. All right. Congratulations. I think a few students may have been shy. I know that there were a lot of community awards that aren't necessarily acknowledged here by the school, but a variety of scholarships and luncheons and other award monies that are in our community through our business leaders and others. So congratulations. So if you did not stand up, please know that we wish you well and congratulations. At this time, please welcome Dr. Scott Davidheiser, Superintendent of the Lower Moreland Township School District.
On behalf of the Board of School Directors, faculty, support staff, and administration of Lower Moreland Township School District, I would like to welcome the parents, relatives, friends, Lower Moreland community members, and most especially seniors who make up the class of 2021. This evening, we are here to honor 198 graduates of the class of 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a very special group of young adults. It's been my honor and my privilege to serve as superintendent of schools, most especially during this class's senior year. As a class, you have represented yourselves, your families, and the school district extremely well. Your presence of mind to recognize that life is fragile and therefore valuable sets you apart from others. Your curiosity and quest for knowledge, culture, experience, and connections make you engaging. Simply put, your empathy breeds compassion. The philanthropic endeavors and activities you have been involved in, supported, and cultivated during your time in Lower Moreland leaves an unforgettable legacy. Each and every graduate this evening has a unique story about their path to achieving the honor of receiving their own diploma. While each and every one of these stories helps define each of you and are extremely important, to share all 198 stories this evening is not possible. However, as you continue on the next steps of your journey, I encourage you to share your story with others. Your story has helped to shape and mold who you are, and it will continue to build community and allow others appreciation into your own lives. The next steps and adventures for each and every one of you, every one of you most times cannot be taken without others. The better you know and understand those around you, the better you can connect in moving forward in accomplishing the goals that you have set. Your story will contain chapters, some longer, some shorter, but all pages of those chapters will help define you. The one thing the last year has taught all of us is that there is no script, no set of directions, nor any real roadmap for that matter to follow when charting our futures. What we do have, however, is our own internal compass. It's that strong magnetic pull that informs each and every one of us to do the right thing, make difficult choices, and set a course for ourselves, one that is both challenging but also rewarding along the way. Having worked with so many others over the past year and helping to lead a school district during the COVID-19 pandemic, and now, as I continue to work with students, staff, and the community in planning for the future of school, it's clear that attempting to do the right thing, make difficult choices, turn those choices into decisions, and set a course for others to follow is quite challenging and often questioned, but at the same time, ironically, also very rewarding. Rewarding in the fact that the sum of so many varying and oftentimes intangible qualities in people will always be greater than if each acted alone, just as Aristotle had theorized over 2,300 years ago. As graduates, I'd like to share some of those qualities that I've always found in people whose internal compass points in the direction toward a true north, and therefore allows them to be authentic, empowering, and ultimately happy. The first intangible quality is patience. We live in a world of instant gratification. We're often measured by likes, loves, and retweets, as well as the amount of followers and views that can be accumulated. While popularity and notoriety often stand out in today's society, I've always found that the patient individual, the one who has the capacity to accept and tolerate initial discomfort and disappointment, often finds strategic ways of handling many different types of situations and is most often successful. If I could convince you today that nothing life throws at you will be beyond your patience limit, then I'd be lying to you. Find that support now. Connect with those that will give you their shoulder to cry on, and also those that will push you beyond your comfort level. It's these people with whom you will want to connect with throughout. The second intangible quality is kindness. The true act of kindness, in my opinion, is placing others before yourself. Mark Twain once said, "Kindness is the language what the deaf can hear and the blind can see." I cannot emphasize enough that as you begin your journeys outside of the Lower Moreland community, it's both your attitude of kindness toward others and your perspective on situations that will move you closest to your goals. Caring about others and doing things to help make their lives better connects all of us. In doing so, we cultivate trust, we cooperate, and above all, it's just simply the right thing to do. The third and final quality is optimism. Researchers have spent a lot of time studying people who think positively. It turns out that an optimistic attitude helps us be happier, more successful, and healthier. The singular and tangible quality resonates most closely with me because it's far simpler and, frankly, more rewarding to focus on situations through a lens of optimism rather than pessimism. In doing so, solutions will be abundant, the admiration of problems and pessimism will be minimized, and you will ultimately be, as researchers have proven, much happier, healthier, and more successful. Though at my age, my multiple chapters of my own story have already been written and told. Each of the 198 graduates this evening have many pages and chapters still waiting to be written. I encourage you to develop and seek these qualities and other qualities that aren't always easily quantified or qualified, but rather they are measured by those around you in the type of feelings, inspiration, and happiness you're able to develop in them. Ladies and gentlemen, the class of 2021 has continued the lasting traditions that were established by all previous Lower Moreland Township School District graduating classes. A strong family of teachers, support personnel, administrators, and families have worked together to shape this culture of success. To the class, I want to affirm that your lives are invaluable. They are priceless. Your lives are worthy of boldly and vibrantly living each and every single day. Find gratitude for what you have and stay open to all the possibilities that exist. I hope you have learned the skills to understand and solve the challenges facing your generation. There are many complex issues that will require informed and thoughtful citizens to participate in the democratic process. Use the lessons learned in your classrooms to make this world a better place. Most of all, to the class, I hope you realize that you've earned the respect of the faculty and the community with your work. Your graduation, your stories, your qualities place you in a growing group of Lower Moreland Township School District alumni who are doing great things in this world. To the class of 2021, congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. David Heiser. At this time, I would ask the senior choir members to please once again come forward. Under the direction, once again, of Ms. Chelsea Diener, the senior choir members will be performing Ubuntu, the essence of being human.
Nelson Mandela once said, "One of the sayings in our country is Ubuntu, the essence of being human." Ubuntu speaks to the fact that we can't exist as human without being in isolation. It speaks to our interconnectedness and how it's not possible to be human all by ourselves. When people possess the Ubuntu quality, they are known for their generosity.
We think of ourselves far too frequently as just individuals, separated from one another. However, each one of us is connected, and what each person does affects the whole world.
Nelson Mandela once said, "When you do well, it spreads out. It is for the whole of humanity."
Thank you again to our senior choir members. Well done. Ms. Diener, thank you so much for that entertainment this evening. That was fantastic. Yeah, we can. At this time, please welcome Treasurer Javin Cooper and Thomas Hellenbrand, Secretary of the Class of 2021.
Good evening. My name is Javin Cooper, and this very handsome man is Tom Hellenbrand. Tonight, we are proud to be presenting this year's class gift. We have received so much from the school and would now like to take the opportunity to give back.
Thanks, Gorgeous. As a class, we have prided ourselves on our dedication to Minithon, an event that has more than 75% of the class has participated in. As many of you know, Minithon is a dance marathon that raises hundreds of thousands of dollars for the fight against pediatric cancer each year. Our class gift will be a donation to next year's Minithon. Congratulations to the class of 2021.
Tom and Javin, thank you very much. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Vice President of the Class of 2021, Timothy Jew.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Timothy Jew, and I'm the Vice President for the Class of 2021. It's a privilege to speak to you today. Even though I know that everyone is excited to walk across the stage and receive their diplomas, I know I am, there are still many we need to recognize for their hard work and dedication to a successful school year. We first want to take this opportunity to thank Dr. David Heiser, Mr. Miles, Mr. Rear, Mr. Venzial, Mr. Highland, and the board for doing everything they could to ensure that we actually had a school year. Though we like to complain, we are grateful for everything that you have done for us in ensuring that we get a quality education while keeping us safe. We'd like to recognize those who work in the office as well. Mrs. Serbin, Mrs. Schill, Mrs. Curry, and Mrs. Weidman, thank you for always keeping the school organized. We would also like to thank Guidance for being with us through our 4 years of high school and our applications for college. It's pretty clear that the application process this past year was a lot more challenging than years before, so we thank you for your guidance and expertise. Thank you to Mr. Golden and the rest of the security team for always keeping our school safe. We'd also like to thank the custodian team for constantly keeping our school clean, even when we don't always keep it clean ourselves. Next, we'd like to thank Mr. Engelman, Mrs. Suchi, and the rest of the library faculty for ensuring that we have all the resources we need. I think everyone would agree that the new and improved library not only gave us a productive space to work, but also a comfortable spot in a school where the desks are harder than getting an A in Mr. Moxie's class. Thank you to our music and art teachers for helping us find our artistic abilities and providing us with lessons on how to better hone our skills. We'd like to thank the PTA for continuously supporting us. Your constant care and events like post-prom and the senior picnic provide us with financial support and long-lasting memories. We'd also like to thank the parents that continue us to support us every step of the way. I encourage every student here to think about everything your parents have done for you and to thank them for constantly supporting you throughout your time at Lower Moreland. I especially would like to thank the parents who left their homes and immigrated here so that we could have more opportunities and a brighter future. Next, we would like to thank all the teachers, even the ones that made us cry. You have prepared us for any test, project, and presentation that we may come across. Even though we all eventually had our mics and cameras off, your constant care for us helped us get through this tough year. Before I say anything else, we'd like to recognize those who are retiring this year. Mr. Sufleta for making sure our school is always up and running. Mrs. Leiberg for helping students stay healthy. Mrs. Martino for always keeping the board on top of their game. Mrs. Forsina for always updating us on different scholarships on the college/career counseling Google Classroom. Frau Stiles for introducing a whole new culture to some students. And finally to Dr. Hausman. It's safe. From coaching tennis to helping out at graduation, you have been such an important part of Lower Moreland. It's safe to say that all the teachers will miss you and that we are forever grateful for everything you have done here. You will all be missed dearly. Going back to those who gave their all this year, I'd like to thank Mr. Sella for all your help. Though many do not know the behind the scenes of planning events and everything else, your continuous support and the way you fought for our class to have as normal of a senior year as possible truly left an impression on me. Thank you to you all for always sticking by my side, both figuratively and literally. As Mr. Sella always said, "Are you two ever not together?" Your leadership skills are admirable and helped us get through this difficult year. See you when we plan a reunion. Thank you to Javin for always bringing innovative ideas. If it wasn't for you, I think that none of us would have been able to stay as cool as a cucumber. Thank you to Jav. Thank you to Tom. Your headstrong attitude and care for this class are both commendable and sometimes a little intimidating. All jokes aside, thank you for being a great officer and my best friend. It's cliche to say that this year was tough and like nothing before, but that's because it's true. I'm grateful that you guys were by my side. Finally, thank you to the class of 2021. It's weird to say that after 13 years, we're finally moving on from the small community. We've been through a lot together. We ran across construction sites to get to art and music class, got addicted to Billy La Bufanda, and still woke up to go to class by 7:25, even in the midst of a global pandemic. We've seen so many changes throughout our lives, yet one thing has remained the same: our continuous support of one another and bonds that will last forever. If there's anything that you remember from this speech, I hope it's this: you are strong and can overcome anything you put your mind to. Just look at everything you have done and remember that your time here has prepared you for anything to come. And one more thing, class of 2021, you are exceptional.
And I believe that brings us to probably the most exciting part of this commencement exercise this evening. I would ask at this time Dr. David Heiser and Mr. Geiger if you would stand and acknowledge the graduates as they walk across the stage and as I present the diplomas to the members of the class of 2021. The names of the graduates will be read by Mr. Scott Sella, Senior Class Advisor. We ask that you keep from doing anything that would interrupt this part of the ceremony or prevent anyone's names from being heard. Mr. Venziel, I apologize, a little different because this is 2021, right? So when the students come up and you're ready to walk across the stage, you may take off your mask if you so choose. You'll walk across the stage, I will hand you your diploma, and I will ask you to move forward to the bright yellow X that's right on the stage. That's the spot where you're going to take a nice, pretty picture. And then you'll move forward and walk down the steps where a second picture will be taken. So now I ask Mr. Highland and Mr. Venziel to please bring the graduates forward, and I invite Mr. Scott Sella to please join us on the stage.
Ready when you are. So, Azray Hussam Abdallah. Joshua Abraham. Brendan Achildi. Samuel Adika. Brenna Alicia. Abigail Allen. Mario Andrioni. Brendan Arthur. Alex Asman. Alyssa Avington. Maria Bedallion. Rachel Bay. Ethan Lee Bailey. Jaden Michael Barg. Michael Barachev. Alexia Basilakos. Ileana Basilakos. Samantha Becker. Ariella Bengera. Vincenzo Berardi. Jake Burson. Kevin Boris. Douglas Britton. Lexi Rachel Brogg. Savinch Brown. Ava Buzaki. Alan T. Burns. Frankie Calderon. Emma Salage. Aaron Chartok. Lucas Chapchanise. Michael Chin. Stephen Marco Ciccarelli. Colin Michael Clark. Abigail Cohen. Amber Cohen. Rebecca Cohen. Daniel Cuccinata. Evelyn Chuddick. Farah Faraz Dahabra. Nicholas Degliomini. Vincenzo Angelo De Mayo. Alexandra Rose DeTrue. Emma DeZio. Jonathan Donaker. Sarah Elizabeth Dorval. Grace Dudek. Selena M. Elaba. Lauren Hunter Ehrlichman. Rasul Faham. Bryce William Fazio. Jaden Feldman. Rachel Felix. Noah Zachary Furker. Emmett John Fitzgerald. Alex Fleschel. Alyssa Madison Fox. Francesca Friedman. Noah Robert Gazera. Tyler Mason Gelman. Emily Ryan Gill. Kimberly Graham. Ethan G.M. Green. Jacob Michael Grinchpun. Fernanda Gushi. Matthew John Haggerty, Jr. Riley Jane Hesbacher. Samantha Lindsay Himmelstein. Devin Francis Hoover Green. Amir Idris. Bergen M.R. Irwin. Alexander Ivensky. Chad Canner. Ella Kazianis. Adrian Mikola Kabuz. Amanda Remy Kendall. Eyal Kakin. Hannah Sung-A Kim. John Sung-So Kim. Youngjae Kim. Justin Kim. William Kent Clanderman. Alexander Koenigsberg. Abeli Koguashvili. James McCormick Kovacs. Victoria Anna Kurlick. Gregory Landis. Jackson Dennis Leska. Jared Michael Levin. Noah Benjamin Levine. Sage Levitz. Maggie Lee. Tina Lin. Tracy Wong Lin. Robert Andrew Link. James Wyatt Lonnie. Evelyn Kuo Liu. Julian Lungin. Phoebe Suzanne Lynch. Adelia Bekrus Makarova. Paige Elizabeth Malpezzi. Paige Elizabeth Markagine. Alyssa Michelle Markowitz. Christine Martinos. Sarah Lee Cheney Matraku. Taryn Rose Mayer. Trisha Marie McElhall. Maggie Marie McGarry. Michaela Marie McCoyd. Slava Mishkovsky. Olha Matenko. Anna Michelle Mishnik. Jessica Morgan Middleman. Alexa Brooke Morley. Joseph A. Marzin. Becky Mosheyev. Gerald Mullen. Daniela Niesensen. Joseph O'Brien. Julian Kazutaka Ogawa. Amy Olomani. Endri Olomani. David Okroshize. Remy Ostroff. Sedef Ozer. Ujaval Patel. Salvatore Penical. Lyndon Lee Pizzala. Luke Patrick Pfeiffer. Quinn F. Petro. John Raymond Plymouth. Hannah Michelle Polikoff. Cameron Pressman. Billy Q. Courtney Marie Quinn. Nicole Danielle Roche. Jamie Taylor Roddy. Madeline Irina Romano. Lena Faras Sadie. Justin Philip Sandler. Jason Spencer Schechter. Dana Schwartz. Daniel Selamaj. Shejin Shaju. Samir Sharma. Jared Shane. Matthew Philip Sheridan. Roy Shimon. Mariana Schnitzer. Ison Shugaeva. Gianna Marie Simone. Ray Taluk Singh. Sonia Taluk Singh. Luke J. Skaziak. Samuel Morris Solar. Maria Stephen. Julia Lynn Sturgis. Rachel Sudakin. Cassidy Sudell. Caitlin Switelick. Caitlin C. Linda Lee Tang. Alexia Teffa. Kendall Tyakarin. Sean Thomas. Roman Tachki. Jackie Uchenik. Andrew Ung. Emily Vidian. Jessica Amy Vasserman. Emily Michelle Vayner. Emma Michelle Volahansky. Gianna Marie Vona. Kevin Wang. Haley Elizabeth Wernalis. Antonio Michael Taylor. Kenneth William Wyzorek. Julian Jury. Samuel Henry James Yoon. Amy Taylor Zessinger. Mihir Ram. Manav Singh. Javin Cooper. Thomas Joseph Hellenbrand. Timothy Jew. Yuval Levy.
I now invite our graduates to please rise and move your tassel from right to left. By the power vested in me by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, I now declare you graduates of Lower Moreland High School. Congratulations.